After the heights of Har Sinai, we come to this week's Parsha, to the details of Parshat Mishpatim. At the beginning of a Parsha, we are approached with an interesting set of halachot regarding slavery laws. But there's one in particular that stands out as being quite strange. And that is that if a Hebrew slave is a slave for more than 6 years, and decides that he wants to stay with his family, he likes his job, he likes what he's doing, there's a mitzvah to take a nail and pierce his ear against the door, and from that point onwards, he is a slave until the Yovel. What's strange about this is, why specifically should you pierce his ear? The Midrash, brought down by the Gemara, answers that because the ear that didn't hear at Har Sinai, that you are my servants and not anybody else's servants, should be pierced. In other words, there's something missing from what he heard at Har Sinai. The Sfat Emet asks the most obvious question. If the reason why we pierce the ear of the slave is because he didn't hear something at Har Sinai, why is ear piercing not the most common punishment in all of the Torah? Why is it that someone who steals doesn't get his ear pierced for not listening to the words, don't steal at Har Sinai? Why is someone who murders, or somebody who adulterer, or somebody who does idol worship, or any of the other things, or the 630 mitzvot that were heard at Har Sinai, why is the punishment not piercing their ears? Why specifically by a slave is piercing the ears what we do in order to tell them they didn't hear at Har Sinai? The Sfat Emet answers that it wasn't just the information that they didn't hear at Har Sinai, but rather they didn't have the attitude of hearing that they should have had or did have at Har Sinai. At Har Sinai, at the end of this week's Parsha, we have a famous line of Na'aseh v'nishma. The Jewish people, when approached by God with the Torah, say, we will do and we will listen. For all generations, the commentators try to understand, how is it possible for us to do and then listen? The Sfat Emet explains that obviously we're talking about a case where somebody hears what they're supposed to do and then does it. The question is, what you do after that. You're told a command, we're told a mitzvah, you do it. But then what? The Sfat Emet says there are two approaches. And that is, na'aseh, we will do, in order to be yotzei, in order to get it done, to cross the T's, to make a check mark and say, listen, I did what I had to do. Or is it a passion? Is it something that we believe in so much that whenever we accomplish one thing, our ears are always tuned to what we can hear to do the next thing? Is it na'aseh, and then afterwards we're going to hear, what can I do more? How can I be somebody that is passionate, that doesn't just listen to the rules, but lives them and always pushes myself forward to do whatever I can, to accomplish more, to build more, to become closer to Hashem, to be a better person, always working for more. That's na'aseh, I will do. V'nishma, I will listen for more. A slave is somebody who only has the attribute of na'aseh. I do whatever my master tells me. I live by his rules. Whatever he tells me to do, that's what I'm going to do. I don't have to think about anything complicated like my family, where I send my kids to school, where I live, how the decisions that I make. Whatever my master tells me, that's what I do. I listen to his words. I'm dependent on his decisions. I don't have to deal with my own decisions. That's somebody who lives their life just to get it done and nothing more. The Sfat Emet says that that's the problem with the slave. The slave didn't have the attribute of being nishma, of thinking about Judaism as not just listening to somebody else, not just following a set of rules, but a passion that you live by, that you are constantly trying to grow and trying to build more. The Sfat Emet ends with a powerful line. He says, this is the problem with the reason why, for thousands of years, we didn't want to build a state of Israel. This is our issue. Our issue is that building a state is much more difficult than living in a community outside the land of Israel. Building a state includes having an army, and having a medical system, and having an economy, and having politics, and having art, and having culture, and all the things that make Torah into something which is much, much more complicated than just following the rules. And that was scary. And the Sfat Emet points out and says that that was the issue that we had as people who didn't want to do Na'aseh and Nishma. That we believe in doing whatever we can to build the state of Israel is not only a grand idealistic ideal that we strive for, but rather it's an attitude that trickles down in every aspect of our life. It means that we're somebody who's always looking for more, to build more, to do whatever we can, to grow Torah, to grow Hashem's name in the world. And as individuals, it means that we live a life where we're not just trying to get by, but living a life where we're always trying to look for the next height, to rise higher and higher. Shabbat Shalom.